Hi there. Get this set up. There, that'll work. Hey there. Hi. Sorry, it takes me a while to get things set up these days. Working with this new indoor arrangement. Maybe it'd be better quite like that. Maybe like just like that. That's fine. Welcome. My name is Kurt. I'm a 61-year-old American, retired and living my life here in Shizuoka, Japan, in the Valley of Tea, with my wife Yumiko. I do this video every morning at 5:30 a.m. to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone, which you can read for free at goingalone.org. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with various challenges and opportunities that I met. I prepare for the coming day, and I ready myself for death. That last one sounds pretty dramatic, huh? I might need to close that window over there. I've got a bit of a wind blowing through. Let me do that real quick, just a sec. Yeah, we had kind of a summery day yesterday, kind of warm and bright. But today is definitely an autumn day. So, before I begin, let me say welcome to new subscribers to the channel. If you're new, I give you a quick bio. As I said, told you who I am, and I do make two reliable daily videos on this channel. The first is this video, which is my daily journal. The second video is a video called Retiring in Japan, which is the documentation of my retired life here in Japan. So you can count on both of those videos to arrive in your feed about this, if you're subscribed, about the same time every day, right about now. So this video first, followed by Retiring in Japan shortly thereafter. They're very different. As I said, this video is a journal entry, so I'm at liberty to talk about anything I want for as long as I want, and it basically covers my life relative to my values. It's my tuning event. The second video, Retiring in Japan, is more of a blow-by-blow throughout the day of what it's like to actually live as a retired foreigner living here in Japan. All right, so as such, with this video, I do talk about sensitive subjects like death, so be aware. And thanks to my subscribers, my YouTube members, and my Patreon supporters. I really do appreciate your support. All right, let's jump into it. So I have 3 notes from yesterday, keeping my notes throughout the day. First is bicycle ride. Second note is Path of Wildness. And third note says, if I can read this, it's so dark. Sense of readiness for USA. Let me go over these 3 in turn. Yesterday, bicycle ride. Yesterday was a holiday here in Japan. It was sports day. And as such, my sister-in-law Yoko had the day off, and Yumiko and Yoko and I spent the day together. And we began the day with a bicycle ride, getting rental e-bikes, and we rode across down to a coffee shop that we like. Here's where that gets no. This video, talking about my life, is not, I'm not here to tell you the details. I'm not sharing the details necessarily. Only insofar as such details help to illustrate opportunities that I had to better engage the values that I've identified in my book so that I can live a better life. So how did yesterday's bicycle ride do that? Well, a couple things happened. Miko suggested, my wife, suggested that I videotape the event. She actually suggested that I have a live, go live and record the event, which I thought was a great idea. And I did that on the route over to the coffee shop, which took us about half an hour to ride there. Now, as such, I was, here's where the challenge was. The challenge was to lead or to follow. My wife likes me to take the lead role in things like that. We have a definite division of labor. But I thought it would be nice to have the family, if I was going to be live video streaming the whole way, the family up ahead of me, wife and sister-in-law ahead of me, to provide some characters in the scene. So I suggested that Yoko, my sister-in-law, lead. I knew that my wife wouldn't want to do that, and that all went over just fine. And Yoko led us. We had a nice ride, and it all worked out just fine. Now, when we got there, we had our breakfast, and on the way back, I decided because I know that Yoko would probably prefer me to lead as well. They're like she's kind of like her sister in that way. She led, but she probably wasn't that comfortable. And so then I led the way back. Now, the reason I'm highlighting this was I used reason to come up with and in this case, I didn't do a live stream back. I just ran the camera almost the whole way back and caught video and going back and forth between headshots with the ladies behind me because I was leading, forward views showing them what was going around while I was narrating, and it all went really well. So it was a good use of reason. Let me go ahead and make note of that. I used reason to plan my way forward with regard to how we could handle this, asking Yoko to lead over, and then having myself lead on the way back. And it worked out just great. And we wound up in a hashtag sense of balance, speaking to the objective of balance, of objective number 8. All right, so the next one is the Path of Wildness, and this relates to the bike ride. On the way back, I was trying to think about the videotaping a little bit. I also know that my sister-in-law, as I've mentioned before, is kind of like a backseat driver a little bit. She has her ideas about how things should go in the car and on the bike. And I knew that, like I said before, if she's in the lead role, she's going to choose not the most direct route from point A to point B. She'll choose a more scenic route, but it won't be a very scenic route. It'll be a slightly scenic route. It won't be much of an adventure. And I knew, though, that with my role in the lead coming back, um, I would want to interject some adventure into the bike ride. I mean, let's take this half-hour bike ride and extend it out to an hour and have a lot of fun and meander and wander, etc. And I know that Yoko's just the way she is. She's going to see that as getting lost, or she'll have other ideas, etc. And she'll want to interject, etc. Like backseat drivers do. So I prepared myself. Before we embarked, I used hashtag reason to remind myself that that's my sister-in-law's hashtag nature. That's another one of the principles to do that. And I came up with a plan by way I would stop at periodic intervals and let them know that I had a determined idea to go a particular route that wasn't the most direct route, but explain to them why. In the end, Yoko actually mentioned to me at one point, how did you know about all these places? Because I knew the ladies wanted to get some flowers, some fresh cut flowers for their um, for our homes. And I knew a place a flower factory that I had found that neither of them knew about that had an outdoor honor stand. And we took the most circuitous, fun, interesting riverside, mountainside, riding through shrine grounds, not actually in the shrine, but around the shrine, very close to it, and through Temple Street. And it was the most fun. It was like leading us all the way to grandmother's house. And we wound up at the flower store. And Yoko looked at me. She said, "How did you know about this place?" So my plan worked out great, which was hashtag, again, reason, because I knew I had a backseat driver who would probably be concerned about my um, circuitous route. So I used hashtag reason. I didn't even need temperance because I had planned it out in such a way that I could avoid that. Hashtag reason to say, I'm going to embark on the path of wildness. That's why I called this the path of wildness, which is another one of my principles. I leaned on the path uh, and used regular communication. That would be the social principle to make sure that both my wife wouldn't care; she'd just follow me. But my sister-in-law knew that what might look like wandering or meandering or getting lost really did have a slight purpose, although truly I was on the path. So I was mixing a little bit of path of wildness, impromptu movement with actual determined communication, making it look like I knew where I was going when there was times that I kind of didn't. It all worked out quite well in the end. So that worked out really good. I have to give myself another 5 stars for that one. Just a second while I relight this candle here. So, yep, another five. That's two 5 stars, if I do say so myself. And the last one, sense of complete readiness for USA. You may remember that I'm dealing with a situation, hashtag, quotation mark situation back in the USA that may require my return. And 2 days ago, I spent the entire day preparing myself to go back to America on short notice. I can be there in 72 hours now. And I just want to comment on this that that's had lasting effect on me now. It gave me a heightened sense of peace that I didn't even know I could do. It was like cleaning a part of the house that you didn't even know that we needed cleaning, like finding some nook and corner that you're cleaning normally missed, but hey, well, I can clean here too, getting it nice and tidy. That being putting my life in a position where I can, at a moment's notice, practically be gone in 72 hours, within 72 hours, appear on the ground in the United States to help out where needed. And more importantly, I think, than the ability to get there in 72 hours, I'm now in a position where I could remain in America for weeks, months, or a year or more, if necessary, to help out. I cannot quite express to you that how, as an expatriate family member, that this sense of peace and peace of mind that comes of having worked out that readiness. Because it wasn't just complicated. It's not a matter of just buying a plane ticket, right? You need to think about the logistics of where to stay, how to stay, things, really important stuff like how will I provide for my own health insurance when I'm back in America for someone that doesn't have health insurance in America. And there's ways to do that. And I've worked out that. I even thought that I might be a good idea to add another chapter to my book, Retiring on Japan, about emergency repatriation, right? Right? What to do if the expat living abroad has to suddenly come home for a long time. I can't tell you how good that feels. Again, it's like finding some nook in a corner in the house that hasn't been cleaned, that you didn't know you needed cleaning, finding it, getting it cleaned, and now the house is even more clean. The house being the house of life. Okay, so I don't even need to mark on that. Okay, now my creed. I'm going to go over this. If you like, you can follow along. Again, it's in the book Going Alone. You don't need to buy it. You can just go to goingalone.org. I created that website specifically so that people who are interested can review the creed and the story of going alone without needing to spend any money. So go to goingalone.org and then click on the button, read the book. It's on the page. And then look for the Good Life Creed chapter down there near the bottom. And then you can follow along. And my creed consists of 8 objectives and 35 principles. The objectives are the way that I seek to live. The principles are the tools that I use to get there. The 8 objectives are as follows. One, and I told you at the outset I'd talk about this. One, to be always ready to die. That means that I need to have my affairs, my relationships, and my life's work in good shape. And they are. So I am ready to die today. Two, to make good and effective use of my time so that I don't waste my days just frigging it through and you know watching reruns and stuff that not the reruns in themselves are bad, but to me they're not good use of time unless maybe it's reruns of Star Trek. I've got my criteria. You get the idea, right? What one man or woman considers a good use of time may not be the same as for another, but I know what I like to do. I know what I think is a good use of time. And for me, what's a good use of time is to be engaging my mind in ways that are clarifying my understanding of the world, refining my engagement with the world, and making the world a better place. And typically, that doesn't involve watching reruns. Three, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. For me, these are the principles and objectives codified in my book. Four is to cultivate good emotional reactions, a very, very important objective to become a man who responds well when things get tricky, to become very stoic in my nature in that capacity, to wield apathy like a master swordsman, where knowing where my interests and ability, hashtag limits, can apply and where they cannot, and applying apathy therein where they do not apply. Even if it may sometimes seem to come across as a little callous, as I know it is. Sometimes we make a show of caring when apathy is perhaps the more honest response or the more useful. Number 5 is to perform good actions relative to my values, to basically someone who lives in accord with what I laid out as my creed. Number 6 is to recognize my true limits and true opportunities so that I'm not extending myself or challenging myself to extend myself where my reach cannot grasp. And instead, focusing on where the opportunities in fact are. Number 7 is to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. And number 8, the consequence of the first 7, of achieving the first 7, or striving after them with some effort and vigilance, is number 8, the objective of balance in both body and mind that comes of living a life, achieving, if more than striving after the first 7 objectives. All right, so I'm going to read one principle today. I'm going to read the principle of family. Very apt principle now that I'm being prompted by events with my family to perhaps come back to America. The principle of family can be read on page 258 of the hardbound edition of Going Alone. The principle of family and the sub-principle of catalyst. Let's see if I can read this. I don't have enough light. Goodness. Our people make up the context of our lives in terms of purpose, obligation, mission, feedback, support, and ultimately the best and most intangible part of being alive. We begin with the people to whom we are born, the chance family which we gain by accident of birth. We grow then with the family we later decide, our friends and our partners and our spouse, and the children we in turn together make. From these we gain our decided mission. From this we gain our decided mission and our direction and our guidance forward, for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, till death or very good cause do us part. Without this connection and circumstance, we can still live a rich and meaningful life, though the way may be harder at times as we strive with less mandate, catalyst perhaps, to compel us through thick and thin, less necessity to push us out the door toward jobs on days when we'd rather not, and through many years and decades of hard work, sacrifice, and giving. The very selfless endeavors which yield virtue from the dawning chaos of our lives, rising and falling, and one day utterly failing. And if, once dead, we've left behind the fact and echo of our virtuous living within the family, quotation marks, what I mean by that is the family, the family that we have by birth and the family we have by what we choose. With the family we formed and supported and maintained, then our life will hardly have been lived in vain, even if everything eventually, one day, is in vain. As usual, I couldn't resist that last bit of nihilism, maybe, at the end. That's the principle of family, a reminder that therein lies perhaps our most important and perhaps our only truly objective purpose in life, to sustain and further the family that we choose and are born into. All right, so that's that for the creed. The next 24 hours, I'm really not sure what I'm going to do today. It's kind of a rainy day. I would like to take Rudy for a nice long walk and practice a little more of the walking and the dog way of life. Although I do have a couple of things I need to attend to in America, some financial institutions to call to address some things. Probably I should tackle those, maybe one of those. That would be the right thing to do. I'm going to do that. I'm going to call the bank. Call the bank. And I have my little board up here, you can see. My little whiteboard, blackboard. Let me go ahead and write that up there. What is today? It's the 14th. Okay. Okay, I'm going to. Okay, I'm going to call the bank and illustrate the book. I've got a copy of Going Alone sent to me by a reader who asked me to sign and illustrate it for them. So I'm gonna do that too. Hey, this is a pretty good angle right here, right? A little light starting to show up. Let's go ahead and read comments. Hello, Michael Littlejohns. Good to see you. Hello, Erica. Wishing you and Yumiko a very good day. Thank you so much. Hi, Evelyn. Evelyn says hi to Michael, Erica, Tim, and myself. Tim says, good morning. Weather check for the UK at 9:34 p.m. is 12.6 C and 94% humidity. Dull, drizzly, cool day. For here, it's like, and I did reposition the thingy. It's 20 degrees and about 85% humidity. How does that compare to yours? Much warmer and a little less humid. Interesting. Cold and humid on your end, huh? Erica says hello to Evelyn. Tim says hello to Evelyn. Tim says, I watched your live bike ride. It looked fun. I have this idea of an electric bike and going on picnic adventures. That's a nice idea. They sure are fun. My goodness. We had a great time. The video, I noticed at the live, I looked back at it a little bit. It was kind of choppy. The quality wasn't so good. The video that I made coming back that I took directly onto the camera and then added to the Retiring in Japan upload was much better. I'm very pleased with the audio too. Evelyn says, sounds like a fun bike ride home. I don't have to know where I am going all the time, but some people do. Yeah. Ray says, hi Ray. Morning Kurt, 14C, 50% with some pretty strong gusts every once in a while. Robert says, hello Kurt, Michael Littlejohns, Erica, Evelyn, Tim, Ray. Currently 66 degrees and 52% humidity in beautiful Napanee, Ontario, Canada, where the AQI is at 25. Good to see you, Robert. Tim says hi to Robert. Robert says wind speed at 8 miles per hour. And Evelyn says hello to Robert. And Marmighty, hello Marmighty, says hello to all. All right, well, we made it through. Got another day kicked off. The light is starting to appear. It's amazing how quickly it got dark, huh? And I'm ready to start the day. So I'll finish the uploading, get started on, have to take the dogs for a walk, have breakfast, call the bank, like I said, do a little illustration on the book, and maybe we'll see how the day unfolds otherwise. I wish you all the best, everybody, and be safe, but not too safe. Chantel, hi Chantel, you look about 15 years younger. I definitely feel better. I was telling my brother on the phone yesterday that he's retiring in 2 months, and he's had a rough career, and I was telling him, you know, take care of yourself, Lyle. It's I gave him. You guys might like this. I don't know. My my brother's a Christian, and so I leaned into a Bible, imagery for him because he's one of those that you know hasn't taken good care of himself, and he's on the cusp of a very good retirement. And I told him, Lyle, you are like Moses and Aaron on the top of Mount Pisgah, looking after the 40 years of leading the children of Israel across through the desert. You are looking over into the promised land. Jordan is below you. You don't be like Moses. I mean, Sounds like a strange thing to say. Don't be like Moses. Because what happened to Moses? They got to the promised land and they died. Both Aaron and Moses died, right? Because God said that you can't enter the promised land. Only those that were not born of that nation, that sinful nation, could enter the promised land. I said, Lyle, you're like Moses right now. You're 2 months away from retirement, looking over into the promised land, but don't be like Moses. Don't die. you know, I I think he kind of was like looking at me kind of funny because here I am, the atheist quoting the Bible at him. Oh, let's see. Mm-hmm. Wait, I know there's a few more comments here. If you had the capability of retiring at 40, would you? At 40, yeah, I would. Now knowing what I know now, yeah, definitely. It's just, I mean, oh my God, I'm sorry. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, once you get through, uh, once you get through to the other side, it really is like retirement is like I came up with this image, and Tim over in England will probably appreciate this most because the landscape of England is tradition. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tim. Traditionally dotted by these hedgerows, right? So they would have these great estates, right? The landed gentry would have these great estates, acres and acres of land, and they would plant these giant hedgerows to kind of act as fences. They were actually like plants, and they're not fences, but they're just big giant shrubs, and the idea was that they're practically impenetrable, to get through. I think you guys would put these little staircases that you could go over for pedestrian access over them. But the idea was that you couldn't get across cattle and livestock and whatever couldn't go through. Well, when I think about retirement, I think about it like trying to press through. If you literally wanted to push through one of those hedgerows, it's going to be really tough going. You're going to be pushing your way through, and it's going to be poking you in the face and hitting you in the eye. And spiders and prickly leaves are going to go down your back. But when you when you push through the other side, you're out of the hedgerow. You're in the promised. You're back into the promised land, right? If you can just get there. It's a little bit hard, and some people it takes more time than others to get through the hedges. Some people don't make it through the hedges, and they die inside the hedges. But if you can get through the other side, this other side is an amazing world, and you bet I would, knowing what I know now, if I could get there at any age, I would get there as quick as I possibly can. There's no comparison to this life and the workaday life. Once I'm on the other side. Sorry, I was closing out, and then I kept on going. Thank you, Chantel, again for your comment. Robert says thank you and wishes us well. Chantel says Japan looks good on you. Thank you. Marmighty says have a good day, everyone. You too. Robert says hello to Chantel. Evelyn says have a good day. All good. Good night, Tim. Ray says have a wonderful day. Thank you. Chantel says hello to Robert. Tim says thanks, Evelyn. Have a great day. Penguin Tim says we'll call them styles, where they go through the hedgerows. That's it, styles, where they go through the hedgerows, right? But do you know what I mean, Tim, about that? Like you could press your body through one of those hedges. I guess it's just plant, right? But you're not gonna. It's not gonna be easy, and that's kind of what it feels like going through retirement. Oh, you're welcome. Marmighty thanks me for the thoughtful answer. Yeah, I get here anytime. And you know what, Marmighty? I think that a lot of people are going to be here a lot sooner. I mean, I think my generation, Tim, Evelyn, uh, others, Sarah, others out there, Robert, we might be the last generation that has to put in the full 40 years. I think that with the rise of AI, I'm a half full kind of guy. I think with the rise of AI, as long as they can sort out the social issues and the economic issues, I think the generation that's coming up now is going to be here a lot sooner than us. And then our grandchildren might be raised, and their children, their teachers might ask them instead, what do you want to be when you grow up? They might ask them, how do you want to spend your life? Won't that be a great world? Okay. All right, everybody. Same wished I retired. Oh, Tim says, same wished I retired earlier now. I'm settled into it. Blah, blah. Exactly. So many people, I'm sorry, I'm going on and on. So many people told me that too before I retired. Those that had gone ahead, they would say, get here as soon as you can. It's amazing. And I was like, well, yeah, I don't know what you mean, but yeah, whatever. And now that I'm here, like, oh my gosh, yeah. And it was like imploring my brother yesterday. I was like, take care of yourself. You don't want to die now. Tim Marmite, he says, my planning gives me 5 more years of work at 35, but it seems scary to me. If you can pull it off, awesome. I hope you can do it. I'm still not over the styles. Yeah, it takes time. Well, the styles, what that means if you're still, you're doing it like me, Evelyn, like I think all of us do. The styles are the shortcut that none of us get, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe some people do. Maybe some people have a way to do it. Maybe my brother has a way to do it because he can retire and he's still got small kids. And I keep telling him, Lyle, you're kind of lucky because you still got kids to take care of, because the kids are going to give you some dedicated purpose. You drive them to school in the morning, and you pick them up in the afternoon, and you take them out to their soccer games and stuff like that. I said, that's going to be the kind of stuff. But the middle of the day is going to be all your own, Lyle. You can do whatever you want. I said, Lyle, that's kind of like an optimal way to retire, right? Because, I mean, I wonder what my other fellow retirees might think. It's the kind of thing where you have a built-in purpose after work, which is to complete because his kids are teenagers, to complete the raising of your kids, to ease you. It's time to ease you out the other side, and while you find your footing. My brother told me, I love it. He says I'm going to be a soccer mom. I said, what does that mean, Lyle? He says, I'm going to have a whack, because his kids are in high school. One's in elementary, I mean, in junior high school. The other's in high school. He says their daughter plays softball and the son plays football. He says, I'm going to have my wagon, my beach chair, and my ice chest. And I'm just going to be hauling it around and sitting out there rooting my kids on from the sideline. I says, I'm going to be a professional soccer mom. And I said, Lyle, I think you have figured out the key to successful transition into retirement, which is, completing the raising of your kids if timing allows. I mean, it seems like he's pretty well set up to do that. A few more comments. So we're back on the comment about the styles, Evelyn. I think the thing is, nobody gets the styles except maybe my brother. Maybe my brother has found a way over the top, but he's got other challenges that he has to face, namely his health. But for all of the rest of us, like you and me, and it sounds like Tim and others, Robert as well. Maybe I hope you don't mind me speaking for all of you, fellow retirees. We have to push through the shrubbery to get to the other side. And my experience has been, from what I've gained from others and from what I've learned from my own, is that there are two outcomes. You've heard me say this before, we either float, we either push through the other side, or we sink. We don't get through the shrubbery. I'm absolutely confident that you will get through, Evelyn. I think yeah, we each take time in a different way to get there. I have no concerns for you though. Ray says, I'm trying to get there. Nearly everything prepped, including having the house and land already. Wow, great. Tim says, I'm surprised how many people I'm I know are scared of retirement. Yeah, well, maybe these are people who haven't retired yet. Robert, is that? I mean, Tim, is that it? Maybe they, maybe they've been talking too much to the likes of us, right? hearing about how the challenge. Although you don't really talk about it seemingly that way, Tim. You're not like me. You don't seem to be like me. You know, talking about how scary it is, or was, still is in some ways. But I think it is scary. Maybe they're smart to be scared. Tim says, but I think that it is more to do with the unknown. There you go. There you go. A lot of people are definitely scared of the unknown, right? And the retirement is one big giant unknown. Ray says, even got the dogs Favin back this weekend. They're all set to go too. Oh, okay. So you're bringing the dogs with you to Japan, huh? Good for you. Did you buy a house in Japan? Is that part of your plan? Wow. How about well, I won't pry, but good luck with all that. But it sounds like that's what you're doing. I'll just wait a second to see if Ray wants to respond to that, because that's a big piece of the puzzle that I wasn't aware of. I knew you had connections here, Ray. I wasn't sure if you were coming. Yes, our house is in, no surprise, Okoyama, with 3 acres to farm. Good gosh. Wow. 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 Well, I hope you'll start a YouTube channel if you don't already have one to share that journey and experience. And I want to hold on just another second to see if you, in fact, do have a YouTube channel that I should. And if you do, I'm sorry that I wasn't already aware of it and not. Hold on for a second. Like, I do this thing. I got this little candle holder. I've become a candle guy just because I like the soft lighting, and as it burns down to the end here, I have another one right here, and zip. I get these boxes of Buddhist altar candles. They burn fast, but they work and they're cheap. Ray says, Penguin says, Tim, I didn't find it scary. I couldn't wait. The difficulty was the relaxing part. And embracing it, not to keep onto the feeling of go, go, go all the time in the working life. You know what? I bet that both, I'm going to hazard a guess and speak for Evelyn here. I think that Evelyn and I would both be just like you. I wasn't scared of retirement. I found myself uh, not knowing what to do with myself in not knowing how to be satisfied with being free, not knowing how to break free of the go 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 like you just said. And I'll lay wager bet that that's the same nature of the challenge that Evelyn faces. If you're still, because you mentioned that you're still pushing through the shrubbery, Evelyn, so to speak. And I don't think it's a matter of knowing what to do with ourselves. I mean, all three of us seem to be people, maybe everybody here that's watching. I think we're people who know what to do with ourselves, for the most part. It's just breaking free of the mindset of a lifetime spent doing the go go go. Right? Rob Ray says, I've just barely started one. We'll develop more when I get to do this. Oh, okay, good. You're referring to your YouTube channel. Tim says the relaxing part was the challenging bit. Yep, me too. Me too. Having this sofa and learning how to use it. Evelyn says, yes, that's it, Kurt. Yeah, yeah. Evelyn, if that's the case, then I think that I, I don't know. I'm going to speak in general. I think we need to worry less if it's worrying about breaking free of the routines that bound us. That's uh, that's not as scary, I don't think, as the challenge of not knowing what to do with ourselves. Right? I mean, you got plenty to do. Tim, we all seem to. I bet everybody that's watching here, all 13 of you that are watching right now, are probably people who know how to entertain yourself in life. But spending, the greater measure of your life working at the coalface, and then suddenly no longer needing to show up at the coalface, right? Well, what do I do with these arms that are used to, throwing a hammer and a pickaxe at the black coal wall, right? How do I know what to do when I don't have a shovel in my hands anymore, right? What do I do when I'm not waiting for the foreman's whistle to tell me that it's time to go home? Marmite says, I worry because I feel that I've never known what to do with myself. I feel that I've just gone with the flow. Now that, Marmite, is something to challenge. Now, if that's the case, that you don't know what to do with yourself, that's an interesting challenge, and I applaud the fact. If you don't mind me sounding, I hope I don't sound patronizing, but I applaud that you're that in the mirror, because you know that that's a big challenge, but it's not an insurmountable one. The very fact that you're asking the question, the very fact that you're willing to say that about yourself, even in a public setting, no less, so to speak, if as public as this is, I think you're going to be all right. If you, but interesting to explore, and if you want to explore that, you're in good company with people here. I hope that I hope that I know that you pop in sometimes, Marmite, and I hope that you'll always feel welcome, and I hope you'll free to talk and chat. And if you ever want to show up in my office hours, they're 10 o'clock to 10:30 a.m. Japan time, Monday through Friday. I'll be there today in a few hours, and just sit and talk while I strum the car. We can talk. And there's other people. There's always somebody that shows up. I'm really never there alone. Come in and pop in sometime. You'll be in company of people that are striving after the same thing, which is figuring out how to spend our lives well engaged. Is Whiskey in the house? Hello, Whiskey's in the house. Hey, Whiskey, good to see you. And Marmite says, so you hadn't finished. You didn't know how to go with the flow without the rudder of work. I don't feel I have anything to fill my time and would drive myself crazy. See, that's an interesting one. But the fact that you've said the words aloud, right? It's like saying, you know, what was the villain in Harry Potter, right? You can't say their name. You said it out loud. You said the words out loud. I think you're on your way. Hmm. There's lots you certainly can do. I think you're going to be okay. Tim says hello to Whiskey. Whiskey says, "Can I ask, do you need new prescription lenses after surgery?" I don't need new prescription lenses. I only need these are over the counter 150 power reading glasses. Without my glasses, I can see everything nice and clear. I deliberately selected for my. I was given the option when I had both cataracts to upgrade to the type of lens that I wouldn't need reading glasses, but I chose not to go that route. They were really expensive, so I chose to take cataracts that are like they're good for a distance, but I still need reading glasses for close up. Deliberate choice on my part. Tim says, when you're working, you do feel how the earth will I cope with all the time in retirement, but it's an unfounded fear. Time flies. It really does fly in retirement. I don't know how, and you've heard me say this before, I'm sure, how I ever managed to fit a full time career in parenthood into my I know how I fit a full time career and parenthood into my life. My life is so darn full right now. The days just fly by. Ray says, knowing yourself is a large part of any life decision. Good point. Whiskey says, I was wondering because not sure what changes after surgery. Is it the eye just gets clearer, but prescription does not change? So what it literally does is they remove the lens, the natural lens in your eye. Take it out, and then they put in new plastic lens. It's literally like getting, you know, a permanent contact lens put in your eye. So what changes is the quality of the vision. The old lens with cataracts become cloudy from age, and you don't realize just how cloudy the eyes become because it's a gradual thing. But when cataracts set in earnest, like when you can start to see the cloudiness in someone's eyes, that's when the surgery is most helpful. But age brings on the cloudiness slowly. So when I get the new lenses, it's like I'm 15 years old again. The whole world is crystal clear. It's really an amazing change. But the thing is, but like you can get contact lenses that are different quality, right? You can get the different permanent cataract lenses as well. I just chose the lesser quality ones. Kind of seems ridiculous when I say it out loud. I should have gone for the high quality one. Hey Sam, finally I'm awake to catch these again. It's good to see you, Sam. Wow. And good morning to you. Robert says hello to Sam. Marmite says, I appreciate the kind words and thoughts from everyone here. Very useful, introspective moments. Well, we're here for you, Marmite, and your challenge is not one that you have alone. A lot of people face the same thing, what to do with the free time. I remember there was a woman that I worked with back in California. I retired after 11 years on the job. She retired, she had 40 years on the job. That means that when she retires, she would get 135% of her salary for the rest of her life. 100, so she would literally get a raise to retire, right? But she chose not to retire, but to stay on the job precisely because of what you just mentioned there. And what Tim was talking about earlier about not knowing what to do with themselves. She, in her job where she was doing, and she had the same job as me, she was very good at what she did. She had niched down into a particular technical role and specialty. And she was like in our organization of 35,000 employees, she was the one person that really, really knew that one technology really, really well. So she was our go-to woman for that technology. That's a position of great authority, a great expertise, a great respect. And she was someone who didn't had not cultivated anything outside of her life outside of that. And she had lost her husband; he had already died, so she was pretty much alone. Her kids were grown, had their own life. So she was what she was facing down was she could remain on the job, which was a hard job, same job I did. She could remain on the job, but be a very well respected, well admired member of the organization, show up to work every day, and enjoy all the accolades that come with that. Or she could retire and face down a freedom that she didn't know how to embrace or live. And she chose, year after year, year after year, to not retire, not, and like I said, if she had retired, she would have gone from 100% salary to 135% salary for the rest of her life and done anything she wanted for the rest of her life. But she didn't know how to deal with that freedom. She didn't know what to do with herself. And so she chose to continue working. I'm sure she's working there right now, and she's working on her 42nd year of work. Of work. So the reason I'm illustrating that point is a lot of people don't know what to do with their freedom either, as have been illustrated by many of my own comments here, some of the comments of others as well. But for some of us, it's the challenge is to get through the other side. The challenge is to get past the workaday routine. So Sam is here. Sam knows how to support himself and enjoy his freedom, right? I don't think Sam will really ever face this challenge because you already know how to embrace freedom, Sam. You know how to. I'm pulling Sam out of the crowd here once for two reasons. One, Sam's a public figure who talks about his life all the time, so I'm not saying anything that Sam wouldn't already reveal. But TKO Sam is another J vlogger. Who lives most of his life in freedom at a relatively young age. So he knows how to embrace that freedom. Some people, that's not that easy, right? It's the greater part. I think Tim over in the UK would, and Evelyn over there in Italy would agree that sometimes figuring out what to do with yourself once you're done with work is the greater measure of challenge. PF, hey PF, good to see you. It's nice to see you. And then Robert says hello to PF. Well, everybody, I've gone on long. I didn't think that I was going to be at this too long this morning, but I've talked for a long time. I think I'll go ahead and sign off for now. I'll wish everybody the best. Be safe, but not too safe. And Evelyn, I hope you're continuing to have a good time over there in Italy. Let us know where your next adventure will take you, if you're going to be going anywhere else on your current endeavors. Hey, Marmite, you're very welcome, and you take care of yourself. Bye bye, everybody. And Sam, don't forget to brush your teeth. Bye bye. Bye, Tim.